ॐ ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Question 1. New questioners. We are now moving on to some new questioners. Sharin. Vedanta Traders, Chapter 5. Your motto in life should be to strive, to struggle, not to succeed. When our motto should be to strive and struggle rather than succeed, is Swamiji asking us to tame the mind that seeks success for its own validation. If the real struggle is to tame the mind, how do we work with the mind on a day-to-day basis?
Swami, may I?
Yes, Mahesh.
Sorry, so my environment is a little noisy.
Yeah, that's
Please
okay.
bear with me. Yeah, thank you, Swami. So, the motto in life should be to strive, to struggle, not to succeed. In the sense, it can be said we should live in a moment. That is, living in the present. Each and every moment as it comes, we should be open to it and live it. So, in that moment, we perform our optimum, whatever we can do to our best of abilities. Obviously, it is going to take us towards our success. So Swami is not saying we should not buy a BMW, we should not become a billionaire. No one is prohibiting us to do that or become one. But to become one, I keep on thinking about I should become a billionaire, I should become a billionaire. Then I might become a billionaire one day, but I lose the journey. I don't enjoy the journey. So more focus on the destination kills life. Life is as such it happens every moment. So mind is definitely to be tamed with the help of intellect. When each and every moment we have got to use our intellect and guide it. That is how I see it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Other answers?
So my understanding is like what Swami said was like you do your service, you work hard, but um not ex don't expect the fruit of labor. I mean, it's your duty to strive, struggle, and then do your services, and not um um don't actually expect fruit when to just because you did the work. So basically, that's what I understood, and it doesn't mean that you're not succeeding. It's just like you don't expect. I mean, like you keep your mind calm in such a way that you don't uh whatever be the result of your action or service, it could be either ways. You just like keep yourself calm, so in that way there are no expectation.
Okay. Arjun?
Yes, Swamiji. Here, Swamiji is in other way is mentioning about the karma yoga. Like whenever only actions are in our hands, actions and efforts, rather than having an eye on the result, whether it is going to be on our side or it is going to favor the other person, or how is it like whether we have to be successful. So all these things we have to put the effort, we have to strive for it, and the result part we should disown it. So yes, that is the my understanding for the first part. And Yes, if the real struggle is to tame the mind, how do we work with the mind on a day-to-day basis? This is actually very subtle. Like every time we need to work on with our mind, this nirantar abhyas, the unwavering effort, every time whenever we little actions, whatever we perform, every time, yes, out of 100 times, we would be wrong in 99 times. But one time, if we do it in the right way, we have to pick that one time, and we have to motivate ourselves to, okay, the next time we'll do it better. We'll do it better. And yes, this is the way uh, I have understood Swamiji. Thank you.
So the whole idea behind this is that it is not taming the mind, it is educating the mind. See, when you're taming the mind or trying to exert a lot of control over the mind, it gets frustrated. It's an education. What is education? No result orientation. Because the result is dependent on so many factors over which you don't have any control. The control that you have is only with reference to your actions. So you focus on your actions. And result, one is the result will come of itself because you are in the present, like Mahesh said. The result is going to come if the actions are good. But if you are bothering about the result now while acting, then the concentration that much is lesser because the mind is thinking of the result, isn't it? He is saying don't have that idea. This is how you educate the mind. Number one. Number two is that if you find joy in the result, then only when the success comes, you will be happy. Right? If you find joy in acting itself, then every moment you are happy. So therefore, he is saying educate the mind, enjoy the process itself. So why should your joy or thing to do with the final result that comes up? So therefore, he's saying your motto should be to strive to struggle. You know that the joy isn't that challenges that you meet and how you face them and everything. That's so we have to educate the mind on those aspects. Otherwise, the mind finds or puts the joy or onus of the joy only on the result. That's what he's trying to say. So find joy in the action itself, because this action itself done properly is the result in the future. So you don't have to think of the future, just keep executing the actions properly. So this is the not for the validation, it wants that success, it wants the result. Of course, in that process, it will get validation also. But what it is bothered about is the success part, the result. He's saying don't bother about it. Because thinking of the result while acting is going to reduce your concentration. And joy while acting is the best way to find joy, isn't it? Every moment you're joyful. You will not even be bothered when the result comes. So the real struggle is to not tame the mind, is to educate the mind. So when you read the scriptures every day, you gain the intellectual clarity. With the intellectual clarity, you educate the mind. And automatically, after some point of time, the mind gets inspired by these things and cooperates with you. So because the whole, what is it? Mind is a tool, you should understand. Mind is not something that is your, so though he says it's your enemy, it's not your enemy in the sixth sense that if you know how to harness its power, that's what you have to understand. So therefore, rather than thinking it is going to be something negative, use it positively. To say that it is a force, if I know how to, focus that force properly, right? It will benefit me and benefit others also. Any questions?
So, Shamji, I'm thinking about the inner resistance that often comes up when we are working on something. So basically, from what you and everyone has said, that struggle is that fighting that, not fighting, but like you said, educating that inner resistance that comes, correct?
Correct, correct. We have functioned this way for maybe so many of our births. Now you got introduced to the knowledge which is saying otherwise. It's going to take some time. There's an intermediary period between this knowledge and wisdom, right? So in that period, there will be a struggle. You know, the knowledge says you should not be focused, but the mind will still focus on the result. That's the nature of the mind. That's where the education comes. And you understand this sort of a little bit of agitation, irritation that comes is probably a necessary part in the process for you to grow. Just as when you lift a weight that is more than your strength, that's when you'll increase your strength, isn't it? So there is a strain there for the muscle. But that comfortable stretch is required for you to grow. Similarly, there's a comfortable stretch is required when educating the mind. It will keep on going back to its old habits. So that is it. You should accept it, not get too frustrated about it. Yeah.
Also, would you say that process of educating and carrying out the action, even though there is resistance, would that over long term purify the mind?
It will, because what you're doing is a higher thought, isn't it? I just want to perform, find joy in action, not in the result itself. Itself is a higher thought. So in the process, it will purify the mind.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
So basically you're saying like when thing doesn't go the way expected, you just think of the time and when it went your way and just keep educating yourself in a positive way, right?
That is one way. The other thing is to also understand that if you know that you, from your side, you have executed everything to your satisfaction, right? You have done whatever you can do, right? Then you know you have done your part. But you also understand the result is dependent on so many other aspects, right? So therefore, you will not be worried or stressed by that because you know whatever it was in your hands, you could do it.
Right.
Isn't it? So that is how you understand.
So for example, like if you consider one of the tennis as an individual sport, like if Djokovic plays better on a particular day, he gave his utmost effort and then still lose against Nadal. It means like doesn't mean that he did his job, but the other person did better than him.
Correct.
You just have to just like
Correct. It's easy.
yeah.
You just better that day. What can you do? But you have to
Yeah.
ensure that you didn't give the unforced errors. You fought till the end. That's what you can do. So that's why you're saying the joy is in the action itself. Because action is happening every moment. If you don't find joy in this, life will be never be joyful because only when the result comes, you will be happy. When will you be happy? Because when is the result going to come? You're the way you think.
Right.
But every moment you enjoy the action itself, then where is the problem?
So basically to strive and struggle itself is
Correct.
a happiness.
Correct. So in the sense that if Djokovic is meeting the 200 seed and playing, where is the joy? Easily is going to win.
Yeah.
But the challenge is playing a very good player. That's when his skill also improves, right? He's also exploring his better skills also, isn't it? So the challenge only throws you that thing where you also know about your better capacities and everything gets exposed in the process. So you enjoy that part of it. Any sports person wants to play a tougher opponent because it will improve his skills and it will give him more challenges rather than a very meek opponent. Same thing with life. If everything is easy, where is the fun in that? No, it is fun for some time, but then you get neutralized. Oh, everything is not fun. But when there's a challenge, then you have something to offer, right? Something to do in that sense.
Yeah.
So you don't have to quote challenges. It will come in the way. Okay, because then tomorrow I'm very scared because then Mayor said, that is why, sir, I want to start this new business and put all my money. He'll say, no. Automatically, so many things you're doing, challenge will come. Don't have to go and seek the challenge. World itself is in such a way it's going to give you challenge. Any other questions?
So actually, this has taught us something new if you think about it, because all this while we've learned that, okay, we shouldn't be focusing on the end result. But here we're actually learning we should be focusing on every action that we are doing and actually find contentment
Correct.
there.
Correct.
Right?
If you do not find joy in action, you will not find it when the result comes because you're already so strained. And action is done every day. So if you find joy in every action, how does it matter what result comes? Because you enjoyed right through the journey, right? You just reach the point. See, that is the reason why a lot of people, when they work for some goal, when they got it, they feel nothing great. You understand? But they didn't think at that point of time, hey, I worked for 25 years for this, right? Why am I not finding joy? But if they had been enjoying every moment of it, they're not even bothered at the 25th year what happened. Oh, yeah, I got this. Okay.
And actually, if you think about it, the whole world, we're trying to avoid action.
Correct. Correct. We want to find joy in not acting. You should find joy in acting. Because our concept of joy is weekend, vacation. Their concept of joy is in the action itself.
Thank you so much.
You can still take a holiday, take a vacation, but you should not need it. That's the difference. The people are doing it because they want that break. But we can take it because we have the choice. Okay, I'll take a holiday. Big deal. So who's controlling it? That's the whole point. Yeah. Any other questions? Not. Question 2. Arjun is the questioner. Prabhu, your questions are all pushed to the back burner. Okay. Why is that after understanding the futility in this pursuit of samsara, and even after knowing that getting attached to the higher knowledge is the only way out, I don't find time to do it? You can say consistently. He's saying regularly means regularly. Sometimes I feel like I'm taking solace in this knowledge for my benefits. Could you explain this dilemma? There is no Nimesh today to start answering. So others have to fill in and start.
I have to think deep for your question.
He had put it as a personal question. I said, I'll take it up in the Q&A only. I told him because why should other people not benefit by this?
I mean, I hear you because sometimes I feel the same way. So that's why I'm trying to question myself and see what's the answer should I give.
Yeah, the same with me also. Like, see, you you know the thing, you have learned it, but yet it is not fully ingrained in your body. Like you know it, yet you are like not acting on it, something like that. But whenever I question, the same question arises to me also. Then the karma yoga takes over, saying I got to be in this place and yet be still, as Guruji has always explained, not be bothered about the results, just enjoy the moment and live life. And maybe eventually one day we will reach it there. So that is how well, this question when arise, I theorized it like this. Thank you.
Other answers?
I'll have a quick goal. So sometimes well, I should say not sometimes, I should say a lot of the times when this happens, I find that I've heard the knowledge that this is important. So that's the Shravanam. But I haven't done the Mananam. I haven't really sat down with it and thought about it myself. I'm just hearing from so many people, like, oh, we need to study, we need to do morning study, you need to do this, you need to get up, But it is actually when I sit down and I churn it and I kind of convince myself. And how do I do that? Just by sitting down with a piece of paper or, just scribble down like what makes sense to me. So I feel like kind of if you develop your own reasoning as to why this highest knowledge is important, even if that means recollecting what's been told and writing down the same thing. But then there's a sense of, yes, I get it, that's what happens. So go through that Mananam process. I kind of feel sometimes it's our mind playing tricks on us as well. Our mind actually telling us, oh, see, this is what you're doing. You're saying that you're listening to all these lectures, but you're not doing anything about it. So again, that could be a thought that's coming in, and ask yourself, do I really want to listen to this? Don't get entangled in it, because sometimes I think the mind does want to bring us down in some ways. So yeah, something to think about. Also be realistic. Sometimes I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I would tell myself, okay, I'm going to wake up at 4 in the morning because then I can do this and I can do this and I can study and I can read a little bit as well. But maybe that 4 is a bit too much for me, and just sit with 5:30 and then, 5:15, just set your goal. So be realistic with the goal that you are setting. Again, what we learned today, like, that inner resistance, it is going to happen. So it's just a couple of things to think about. Thank you.
So I feel like sometimes you feel like you are preoccupied with a lot of other activities. You convince yourself that you don't have uh, enough time to sit down and reflect on what happened, like what happened that particular day or like the past like few hours. So I, I mean, like I felt the same as like as I said before, but like what I've been doing is at least like in the last probably 6 months or so, I started slowly. I mean, I like for me like sitting in one place and like studying for reading a book for like more than 20 minutes is a big achievement. I like 6 or 7 months back, but I so I started slowly, as Sharin mentioned, I started with like 15 minutes reading. I woke up at like probably, I mean, it's very hard for me to wake up in the weekends, like at right, probably like the earliest I can wake up at 6, but on the weekdays, yeah, I do wake up at like 5. I started with 15 minutes of reading and slowly try to increase my uh, um, reading time from 15 to 20. Now I go up to like 30 to 45 minutes. So without without even thinking about other things. So I mean, I believe that should be the way. And once you do that, I believe it becomes a habit. Um, and even if you don't, if you want to avoid it, it just you just can't, because you just wake up automatically and and try to do it regularly.
So you should understand that you have not completely understood the futility of the pursuit of samsara. As much as you have understood, so much are you practicing. Because if you completely understood, then this question will not arise. So it's not complete understanding, but there's an understanding. To that extent, that regularity has happened. This is what you have to understand. Therefore, go back to the reflection part of it to try and understand. So which is the reflection? The past is the study itself. That's why we say that regularly get into study. Why we are saying regularly get into study? That's the idea. The regular study is reinforcing these thoughts. So that's what is happening. So the mananam, reflection and nididhyasanam is not complete. Nididhyasanam means, like what Prabhu said, becoming a habit in your life. Nididhyasanam, contemplating, makes it a habit in your life. So that has not happened. So reflection is happening, but the understanding is not complete. So when this happens, what you have to do is, you need to have those certain things that will inspire you to get back to the regularity. You can have your own tools. Each person has their own tools. So we used to have this, when we started the academy, it's like 6 hours of study, 5 to 6 hours of study. If you're really studying like the way it's given in the schedule. So 6 hours of study and you're listening to Swamiji and everything, right? After some time, slowly the inspiration seems to come down there also, because you're doing it day in and day out, right? At times it may turn mechanical because you are on that schedule. Then I used to have something like a list of things to inspire me, for me to get the inspiration back, to say, my guru, the guru is a self-realized master. He is traveling 3 weeks out of this academy for us to study properly, so that you can cover the portion. That man is sacrificing for me just to study. You understand? Somebody is in the morning ringing the bell for us to get up to study. They are sacrificing. They have to get up early morning to go and ring the bell. Somebody is giving instruction in yoga for just sacrificing their yoga for me to do yoga. So many people are sacrificing for the mere fact that I have to do this. Then I said, I left everything, my business and everything, and I'm sitting here. I have also sacrificed, isn't it? So what all I've done to be there, that gives me the inspiration to get that thing to. It's just the mind has lost that, forgotten. You have to just reiterate to the mind, reinforcing to the mind. So once you do that, then it puts you back in the thing. And it is not wrong to find solace in the knowledge when the mind is agitated. It's nothing wrong. Because by some manner, you have to bring the mind back to peace when it is agitated, right? So why not? But if you're doing study only to bring the mind solace, then it is wrong. The knowledge can be used for evolution. The knowledge should be used to bring the mind back to sanity. The knowledge should be used for you to get into karma yoga. For everything, knowledge is being used. So there are people who study only for mental solace. That is wrong. But it's not wrong when your mind is disturbed to bring it back to sanity through knowledge. That's the only way to do it, because at that time, how will you do it? So you don't feel bad that you're using the knowledge for mental solace. But if you're doing all the time only for that, then you have to change that attitude. So otherwise, okay. So understand that the understanding is not complete. Therefore, the regularity is still not there. So therefore, put more effort in, at least like how these guys are saying, practice the regularity somehow, bring that habit, right? And then this process of study itself will make the understanding more better. In the meantime, whenever the mind is agitated, you have to use the knowledge only to bring it back to peace. There's no other way. So that way it's not wrong. So you don't need to feel the dilemma in that process. Yeah. Any questions? If not, question 3, still Shireen only, no Prabhu. So you will have to plow through action to transcend action. Use the world to transcend the world, just as you use a thorn to remove a thorn embedded in your flesh. How can action become the very means to go beyond action? How does the analogy of the two thorns help understand this? What are the two different thorns, so to speak?
Uh, what I can understand in this place is um, first we have to perform action. And yes, after performing actions every time, we'll not be like doing it in a right way. Yet, whenever we perform action, something uh, comes up with that. Like you could have done your best, and still you have got something to something not that you expected. So then, what you can do is, okay, put out the expectations away and perform the action in a different way. Every time, having different approaches is what I can understand.
Okay. Other answers?
So, I mean, like I don't know how to explain, but I can use an analogy here. Like, when you go on, when you see all this marathoners going on a 26 mile or I mean run. I mean, at some point they get so exhausted and they come to a breaking point. So at that point of time, they they tell themselves, they push themselves to go further. I can do it. I can do it. And so you need some kind of like nudge from within to go further, to reach your destination. As this is one of the proverb, right? As Swamiji mentioned, you have to like um use the thorn to remove a thorn from your flesh. So basically, yes, you have to nudge yourself or push yourself to to I mean, like, you don't know what I mean, like, to know your limits. So you don't know what your limits are. So you have to use that action to I mean, like, to push yourself to achieve any objective.
Mahesh, you have anything to add? He's just got into the train.
Swami, kindly excuse me, Swami.
Yeah, I know. Got into the train, I know that. Yeah.
Yes, Swami.
You have to plow through action to transcend action. So, how can action become the very means to go beyond action? There are two types of actions, right? In the analogy, the flesh is the world. The action that is got you stuck into the world is the thorn that is embedded in the flesh. And those actions that liberate you are those actions is the other thorn, right? So when you perform selfish actions, it binds you. That is what is getting us caught up in the world. See, the world per se is not the problem. Our bondage with the world is because of our own selfishness, selfish actions. So how do you remove it? The other type of action is the unselfish or selfless actions. That helps you remove the bondage. So that is the whole idea. The realization is called the state of actionlessness. Because in the chronology is vasana, thought, desire, action. Isn't it? The chronology of action. Vasana, thought, desire, action. So once for you to reach the actionless state, people make the mistake of stopping action. Only the action stop, which is the grossest part. What happened to the desire, thought, and vasana? Isn't it? So here he is saying perform those actions which are unselfish and selfless, which removes the vasana, thought and desire. Then you will reach a state of actionlessness. So most of the time, most of the people don't understand this part, that by stopping action, you can't go beyond action. By performing actions which is liberating only, you can't go beyond action. These are the actions that are unselfish or selfless. So how will you go beyond the duties of an executive? By perform the duty very well to get promoted. Means the thought is to get promoted. The moment you get promoted, what happens? Instantly these duties drop. Isn't it? It's dropped automatically. So by thought only, by action only, you can go beyond action. The other person wants only to be, oh, I'm so happy by being an executive. He's just sitting there with that action, he'll be stuck there. This person wants to become a better and better person in the organization, right? So he does such actions. The moment he got promoted to the next category of a manager, instantly the duties of the executives drops. No, that those actions have dropped for you. Similarly, you rise yourself with the level in your life, work for far greater interest. Slowly, your bondage to the lower actions will drop. And you keep doing this process until all the actions drop. So unselfish, selfless actions. Simply put, karma yoga. You just done it. Because karma yoga means it makes everything clear. You just perform those actions for the larger interest. That's what removes. So the two different thorns are selfish and unselfish, selfless. Those are two different thorns. That's what he said. Perform those unselfish actions, selfless actions. That removes the bondage of the selfish actions. So how does the action become the means to go beyond action? The higher quality of action removes the bondage of the lower quality of action. That's what it means. Any questions?
No, that's very good. Thank you so much.
Swamiji, the higher
Yes.
quality of action means performing actions in a first we used to perform selfish actions. Now we will be performing selfless, and after that, what is that?
No, selfish, unselfish, selfless. That's how it works. If it is already able to
Okay.
perform selfless, there's nothing else to do. You're just keep performing selfless actions. Then you grow beyond the selfish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So action without desire is selfless, right?
So we can say action without desires in the world. Understand it? Desires mean you can't function without desire. Means action for the sake of evolution or self-realization. So in the existence of action chapter, when he says action without desire, it means action without any desire for the world. You should add that. Otherwise, action without desire can only be performed by a self-realized person. Isn't it? So from the relative standpoint, what it means, without any desire for the world. So when you say selfless actions, selfless means little self there. The little self is not catered to at all for that action. Selfless action. That's what it means. The goal is evolution. So therefore, you're working towards it. So you're not doing anything to do with your existing world or existing desires. That's what it means. Any other questions? If not, question 4. Code of Living chapter. By 16, the youth were well educated to meet the world. They became stalwarts prepared to face the external challenges. But by lapse of time, this fundamental education to the young was lost. Now people live the good part of life without learning the technique of living. If at all, they begin to learn it at the end of their life. Spiritual education has turned out to be a post-retirement pastime, a cart before the horse. How do we inculcate spiritual education to children? At what age they will begin understanding the value? While as an adult, we just begin our journey and still have a lot of questions. Propose the question.
start with this one. I think you can start as early as they can start to communicate. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how you break it down. You know, if you think about it, a lot of us in the education world, we're even teaching children colors and how to read when they don't actually understand how to identify letters, but just the shape of the letters put together, they can actually say the word. So they are a sponge. And as long as you can break it down in their language, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Having two kids myself, my old one asks questions, but when I like try and tell him, you know, come and join me, there's still a little bit of resistance. I feel the only thing that I can do is lead by example. And I believe that one day they will come into the path when their time is right. And I think that's also happened to a lot of us as well. You know, even in your workforce, even people that you socialize with, you are somehow drawn to people with good virtues. You recognize that virtue in them, and then they become like a source of inspiration for that virtue. So I believe kids will also come. They'll follow on if there's still resistance. But the younger that we start, the easier it'll be.
Other answers?
We inculcate this knowledge through our like we should start to do it. Sherin ma'am has rightly said we have to start. We have to set an example for that to happen. And yes, at what age? Uh, Swamiji has earlier mentioned that by the age of 7, uh, or the latest by age 12. The age 7 is when usually in Brahmin culture we have this thread ceremony. That is for to understand that practice is being done only to uh, um, make sure that the child is ready for the knowledge. So yes, by the age of 7 till 12, we can start this process. And yes, that's it, Swamiji.
Mahesh, are you going to add anything?
Yes, for me, I'm also thinking in the same lines. Swami, kindly excuse me. I was just getting my ticket check. So, the same thing, the dilemma with me also. I also have a 16-year-old son. So, it's for me, it's more important rather than my success independent to get him on the right track of life. Right track doesn't mean a good job, a good thing. To expose him to this higher knowledge. It doesn't mean wealth, it doesn't mean power. So I'm not bothered about those things. I'm just bothered that he he also has higher values, and eventually that higher value will lead to um, all these things. So as you said, lead through example is what always you say, and that is only one point which I can remember. Apart from that, maybe read some books to them, expose them slowly, like maybe how they're interested by comic books. So it might not occur overnight. Like immediately we give a comic book and we expect tomorrow itself the kid like, yeah, I'm very much interested. Come on. So it's like slowly we need to have patience and ingrain the ideas slowly in them through whatever means today is available. by movies or by cartoons or by comics that has sublime teachings in it. That is what I can think for me. And regarding this question part, what I can say is, I think we have confused the old age method. Definitely, in the old age, they were not ready for this Vedanta living. Like particular people used to study this, but by then, what Swami's meaning is like everyone, like a carpenter's son, right from the small age, he used to play with his father, get hands-on experience in carpentry, and by say 16, 18, he himself was skilled enough to perform his own work. That is what I mean. Uh, by 16, the youth were well educated to meet the world. In the ancient time, I think that is how it all happened. But yeah, definitely the cart before the horse is very true nowadays. Nowadays, we have just eliminated that as a post-time retirement. Brother, नहीं चाहिए. हाँ.
You can have idli vada. It's okay, Mahesh. You can have idli vada.
No, sir, not now. Not in 9. So, yeah, in the sense that is also very true, but we don't even know the skills of life to live the life. And when we are just at the end of the battery, our battery life, we just go and learn those skills which we don't know whether we can put effective use. So, children definitely need to know this at an earlier stage so that it can benefit them the entire life. So, thank you so much.
Sorry, can I add something
Yes,
else?
Sharon.
So, Prabhu, it's your question, right? There is a book, if you have a look, I've used it for the kids when they were young. It's called The 7 Habits of Happy Kids. It's by Sean Covey. His dad was
Seven habits
Stephen
of what?
Sorry, 7
Oh,
Habits of
okay.
Happy Kids.
Okay.
And it's written by Stephen Covey's son. Stephen wrote the book, The 7 Habits of, for adults, but Sean wrote for children. And I think I got it when the kids were 5-year-old. They were very young. But they have 7 different habits. And I remember like the first one was something about like do what you must do. So they've broken down into such simple things. And now that I think about it, like what you've actually made me realize that I'm actually curious to see like if we were to go back through those habits and actually see the Vedantic philosophy in them, I'm pretty sure it's there as well. So I think it's the cultivation of all these little things for them to do what's right. But yeah, that's a really good book. The 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Really simple. I've gifted it to a couple of friends lately as well. So nothing to do with religion, but what's the right way of living? And I think that's what Vedanta is also about. It's how we should live our life. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll add one more point here.
Yes,
That is
yes.
the most important one. Not passing sermons to the children. So that is the most essential part, because we will be putting effort and all those things. Then we will see that, okay, now that we have reached the level of Atman. So we will expect our children also to be in the same manner, and we'll pass sermons to them, and which they will not like, and they will, rather than coming into this knowledge, we ourselves will push them far away from this knowledge.
Yeah. So the whole idea, you should go to the backdrop to understand the system that they had. When the children went to the Gurukulam at that time, right? It was when the intellect was born. When the child is born, only the physical body is born. Then the emotions come up. The intellect comes up only at the age of 6 or 7. That's what you say. So that's the indication. So the Upanayanam ceremony is called the Dvijottama ceremony, means twice born. The physical body is born at the age when the child is born. The intellect is born is called the twice born. So the Upanayanam ceremony is to say the twice born. Means the second birth has happened, which is the intellect is born. The moment the intellect is born, the parents send the child to the Gurukulam to learn from the Guru, who was a personification of all the principles of life. So they had, see, and children are very young, right? They get very easily impressed, get inspired very easily. So they need to be having somebody who's an inspiration. So the Guru was the inspiration because he or she led an ideal life, right? And under their tutelage, they learned the higher values and the worldly knowledge. Both they learned. So the higher knowledge was also inculcated. In the beginning, when any child goes to Gurukulam, it's only a memory. They were only asked to memorize everything because the memory is very good, right? And then slowly they were asked to also start reasoning, thinking, and everything. So they had somebody to look up to, and that's the person who was teaching them, right? And the person observed and knew where to censure them, where to praise them properly. They do everything properly. So they were in an ideal environment which was conducive for learning. Therefore, by 1617, they became stalwarts because they've learned the worldly knowledge. They've also learned the knowledge of how to handle the mind. Therefore, they became stalwarts, right? Now, this is not there possible today. No Gurukulam. Where to go? Therefore, parents need to become the immediate gurus because the children look up to the parents. So that is a rationale behind why they are saying you should follow an ideal life. No, they are saying no. Children follow what you do, not what you say. So you live that ideal life of values. Number one. Number two, what Arjun said. Don't give them sermons. You are living it not for them to follow. You are living it because that's the right way to live. Incidentally, they'll benefit by it. It's an incidental benefit. And if at all you want to introduce them to Vedanta, like what Mahesh was saying, there are comics which are to do with superheroes. There are comics of the scriptures itself, the Puranas and everything, Mahabharata, very easily readable, right? Introduce them. And all those, see in the poems, you have this italicized portion in the poems book. Every portion is there, there's italics, right? It says, ere you remark another sin, look, bid thy conscience, look within. That's the first poem. So that is the message of the whole poem, right? So Swamiji used to say that his father used to train him like that. When somebody rings the bell, he will not tell him this. He'll get up and says, at his duty prompt at every call. This is what village preacher says. Just as a joke, because he's going promptly and doing it, right? So he's making them memorize these verses because it's very easy for them to memorize. And he's also acting. He's very prompt at everything. At his duty prompt at every call. He used to say that. So when if somebody talks ill of somebody, you immediately say, ere you remark another sin, bid thy own conscience look with it. Don't have to explain. You understand? Then you also refrain from talking ill of others. Then what will happen is, in the passage of time, children are very sharp. When you speak ill of somebody, immediately the child will say, ere you remark another sin. Which means the child has got it. So you are not introducing the knowledge very seriously, but in a playful way. And they are seeing you also functioning. This is what sticks in them. What doesn't stick in them is what you tell them. But what you sticks in them is you're doing it. But also it's like a quote is there. So they can remember it easily because their memory is very good, not a young age. So this is the practices. So that's what you do. If at all you have to introduce them only into poems book. Because that's the age. Now they slowly get into it. And most importantly, don't give sermons. He said no. Most of the time when they come, the parents will come and say, sir, please go and tell them what we should do. We never go and tell them what we should do because we know by telling them they will not follow. And most of the time when we go to the house, we support the child only. Child is very happy. Somebody to tell my father. Mahesh knows. Every time his son has a problem, he calls Harini. He doesn't speak to his father. He calls us because he knows somebody will listen to him. That's what he thinks. So in other words, so therefore, you can't tell them, oh, okay, come and attend the class. So they're not going to do that. Right? But if you do it this way, then when there is an interest and they say, do you want something, it's that the book that you can say is just the poems book. It's a very, very simple way of explaining the whole thing, right? Not a big story. Every poem has some storyline, it's easy to explain to them. So you practice the values and You can say, you know how to remember this. I am telling you, remember this quote. Whenever anything is done, you should do it immediately, right? At this duty prompt at every call. That's all. So they remember that. So first comes the memory part of it. Then the memorizing will turn into practice. And you live that life. Not for them to follow, but it is the right way to live. And when you live that life of values and don't tell them, and they see the clarity and the lack of, the peace and the peace in you, they have observed it. They may not follow it now, they will follow it later. Sometime they'll follow. Because this is the right way of living. Right? You have a lot of questions, not at that level. You have only questions at a higher level. What they have to do means, as a child, I should have done all these things. The knowledge is already given you. I should have had the consistency. I should have the discipline. I can't stop things. All these simpler things, I should be immediately start acting. That's a duty prompt at every call, right? I should not speak ill of others because that's not good, because it's agitating me only. So these things we don't have a doubt with. And you can't give the higher knowledge to them now because they can't take it anyways. So what they require is very smatterings of the knowledge for them to become better. That only the poem book message itself is enough for them to do it. Understand that. So you have to just live the knowledge. There's no other way. Live the knowledge, don't tell them anything. And be observant. Whenever they go too far, veer away, at that time pull them back. Otherwise, allow them to be. Only then they will listen to you. If you keep on telling them, do this, don't do this, when you tell them even something that is correct, they will not listen to you because they already switched off. And of the 4 stalwarts here, 2 stalwarts attended the parenting session that we did last year. How much they have learned, I don't know. So there at every age, what you should do is what we spoke about. I will share that video with you and Sharin. Whenever you have the time, you watch it. So it
Thank
gives you
you.
more input. They are very specific. At this age, what you can do. Between this and this age, what you can do. When they become teens, what you should do. Cover it. Though in brief, because in 1 hour, how much can you cover? So that you can watch. Any
Thank
questions?
you.
Yeah. If there are no more questions, we'll conclude here. We'll meet in the next class.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swami.
Hari
Swami,
Om.
please share the same to us also.
Yeah. I'm going to share it
Yes,
in the
Swami.
group only. So you can watch again.
Thank you, Swami.